Well, we are very excited about our first guest today. He is making his directorial debut with a very inspiring tale. It's a one man's life-changing journey of discovery.
It sure is. In the movie, the Water Diviner Academy Award winner Russell Crowe directs and stars as the Australian farmer and grief-stricken father who risks his life in search of his three missing sons who never returned home after a war. Russell Crowe joins us now in-house today to tell us more about this movie. So good to see you. You just kind of walked in while I was talking about the information. I was a little distracting when Russell Crowe walks in. I kind of lost my train of thought.
I know.
3 minutes of me sitting here going, do they even know I'm here? It's a very odd moment.
It is very odd, but it's so nice to have you here.
Cheers.
What a thrill for us.
Thank
so
you.
this film, The Water Diviner, is your very first directorial debut. So,
Yes.
well, that's redundant. Your directorial debut. And you not only directed, but you also star in it, which is amazing. So tell us a little bit about how the film came about.
Well, it's one of those things, you know, it was just a script that arrived, but when I read it, I had such a deep connection to it that I really felt that I wanted to take responsibility for the story. And that began a 3-year process of, you know, putting the financing together, because it's a little independent Australian film. It's not a big studio film. I mean, luckily enough, we have Warner Brothers distribution here in America, but it's a little independent film that was financed through independent channels. And, you know, it's doing really well so far. It follows the story of Joshua Connor, who has 3 boys. They go away to war, they don't come back. And that grief sets his wife on a journey to suicide, and so he's got nothing left. So he decides to travel halfway around the world in 1915 to a battlefield that's 4 years cold, searching essentially for the bones of his children.
Deep story. And you, of course, play Joshua, and you're the father.
In the movie, yeah. There's a great cast, actually. Jai Courtney, who's been doing a few American movies, and Jackie McKenzie, who I first worked with back in the early 90s, and a couple of great Turkish actors, Yilmaz Erdogan and Cem Yilmaz.
You have said that this story chose you. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just one of those things. I wasn't really looking for it, you know. I wasn't thinking to myself, oh, gee whiz, I'd like to tell a story about a father post-World War I, you know, and it sort of, it came to me at a time where I was extremely busy. I did 4 movies in the year of 2012. I was having a lot of life problems as well, separation and all that sort of stuff, and it just arrived, and it just changed everything, you know. The schedule was set for a certain series of events, but as soon as I read this, I had to do it.
Talk about the personal connection to the film that you have. I think people might not even be clear on what a water diviner is.
Well, a water diviner is somebody who uses what they call dowsing rods, or either metal or wood, and someone who can feel the vibration of water just under the surface of the ground. Now, this is not a piece of magic or anything like that. It's an actual job, and depends on if you come from a country that has big arid areas like Australia does. It's something that's understandable, you know, and you'll probably find that in the desert areas here there'd be water dowsers and diviners as well. I have a personal connection to it because my dad can do this. It's not something that everybody can do. It's a very small percentage of people. And one of the writers, Andrew Anastasius, his grandfather was a water diviner as well. But my dad, when I was a young boy, about 14 or whatever, he found a broken pipe for the council outside of our house. And so, I tried to do it. You know, I thought, well, if he can do it, I can do it. But I never got anything. But, you know, on quite a regular basis, and, you know, after that, you know, later on the farm, he found a water source that got us through a drought too. So, yeah, it's a skill that not everybody has, but it's a real thing.
So this takes place a little after World War I. It's the Battle of Gallipoli. People around here are not so familiar with that battle, but I understand people in Australia and New Zealand are, because they lost a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's a big deal in Australia and New Zealand culturally, because it's the first time that Australia and New Zealand troops fought under their own flag. Prior to that, they were just seen as an extension of the British Empire. So that's why it has such cultural significance. But it's not only that, it's the amount of deaths, it's the way those deaths occurred. And, you know, it was a big social movement, getting people to volunteer to go to that war. So when people started to hear stories back from the battlefield and what they'd asked their sons to go and do, it changed their attitude slightly. And I suppose that's why it still lies deep in the hearts of Australians and New Zealanders.
What were the challenges when you had to approach this as both actor and director?
Well, that's a long list, but essentially, I've always been an actor who's very concerned with the narrative and where I am in the story. I've always been an actor who knows what the lens is, how the camera's going to move, and what the director's looking to get out of that shot. So it's not actually that big a step to then be directing, because those are the two principal concerns, the narrative concern and the technical concern. It's really just a matter of whether or not you've got the energy for it, and I, quite frankly, quite enjoyed being in a situation where every single creative decision is mine.
I'll bet.
I like to be in charge too. So I understand that you had all these actors over to your ranch in Australia before the shoot started to sort of have a boot camp. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, basically what I was doing is taking a group of young Australian actors and showing them what I would do in terms of preparation for a film, and putting them into a situation where they have long days, and some of that is physical, some of it's skill-based. So you'd start your day with maybe a long walk and then some yoga and then a weight session. Then you might spend a couple of hours horse riding. You might spend a couple of hours using the weaponry of the time. Then at night time, you would have a lecture from a university professor on either the geopolitics or the history of the Ottoman Empire. And then the next day you might begin your day with a 50-kilometre bike ride, and it goes on and on. But what it is to get through that sort of modern exterior that the young actors have, and take them from looking like boys who are totally comfortable at a rave party, all the way back to somebody who looks like they really belong in 1915. And as it was, I set them certain tasks, and all I'm requiring then that they be consistent. And by the time they actually arrive on the set, they've got a mile deep behind their eyes. They know who they are, who the character is, where they are in the story, the knowledge of the times, and that's what I wanted from them. And every single one of them turned up to set in great shape and ready to go.
To be authentic. And this film already opened in Australia a few months ago, and it already won awards, so congratulations on that. Very, very, you must be very proud being both the director and the star in it. And today's an important day for you, we hear. It's Russell Crowe's birthday today, so happy birthday to you. We couldn't let you go without a little
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Russell. Happy birthday to you. Did you make a wish?
I did.
Okay.
I wish
Yes,
that in other interview situations I come into the seat at the right time.
I think your time was the right time.
Cool.
That worked perfectly
well, I got
fine
to
with
see
us.
your family.
There you
Great
go.
politics, so that's cool.
Very nice of you to stop by and share some of your time with us today. Good luck with the movie.
Thank you
Sure
very
it'll
much.
be great. Russell Crowe.
Thanks so much. And